Yo, it's Pugs Atomz.
And I'm Damon Lamar Reed,
And you are now in the art store.
I need to go to the art store. I need to go get some paint.
Man, episode three.
Tres.
We are the art store. My name is Pugs Atomz.
Yeah, I'm Damon Lamar Reed.
And you are now in the art store.
Yeah.
Woof, woof. So today's episode, man, we're gonna talk about something most artists can relate to, is those pieces where you don't finish it when you started it. You know, some years might have passed and it's like just collecting dust, and then one day you get that oomph of like, I think I'm ready to finish this. You know,
go back. Yeah, my art teacher in high school, he always said, you know, when do you know a painting's done? He said, when you stop working on it. No, he actually said you never finish a painting. You know what I'm saying? You just stop working on it. He was like, hey, because you know sometimes people get crazy and they can't stop. Like and some people like I have to, and it's like, dog, it's done, man. Just
it's like
just
sometimes
stop.
I think like the perfection of it, I think you get totally lost in and not understand. Sometimes it's more about the emotion of the strokes, you know, not it being a perfect face.
Yeah, no, bro. I used to try to make my paintings like, ooh, let me see how much detail, and you know, let me figure this out. And then, you know, I go to sell my painting and people be like, oh, that's nice. And then I had another painting that I took like 2 hours on, and somebody like, hey, how much is that? You know what I'm saying? They trying to buy it. And I'm like, all right, something. It's like you kind of got to figure out why you do the art. You know what I'm saying? And and not that I'm doing it to sell it, but I'm doing it to like touch somebody. You know what I'm saying? So if that 2 hour joint can touch somebody, and I spend 20, 30, 40 hours on this other joint and it's just sitting at home, well, I got to think about.
Yeah. Was it worth it?
Yeah.
Now I find like in making music, oftentimes my best records were when I was just having fun with my friends and not really thinking about it in like a have to do this. Today is the only day. It'll just be like real quick, couple takes, voila, magic. And even with the paintings, I mean, some of my best paintings were quick, but the majority definitely took some time.
Taking the time. Yeah, but it's kind of about what do you need to do to like strike that chord in somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you need to make that effect? And it's different for everybody.
Yeah, because I mean, I think the way I paint now is more me thinking about the subject. So that might be time, and then researching the subject, and then finally saying, okay, I'm ready to paint this. I know what I want to do. But then the actual painting part is like way less than it used to be, whereas that used to take up the most time, and now it's more the research,
the planning,
figuring out.
No, it's definitely a lot of mental, and a lot of times I kind of start. Like, I like to think I paint like a kindergartner or something. Like I'm just going, you know what I'm saying? It could be I'm using a brush, but you know, I'm just throwing stuff on there and then I'm like refining it. You know what I'm saying?
No. To see like the first couple times that I did murals in our later life with you, it was definitely like, I was like, what's that gonna be? And then like okay, I see it, I got it.
No, it'd be like that in college. I remember figure painting class, and then we were looking like, dude, what is he painting? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, hey, you know what I'm saying? You got to give it. It's like making you know what I'm saying? Making slime or something. Like you just taking all the stuff, but then once you finish, it's like, all right, like we here.
Yeah. Now you definitely are fearless in that way, and I've definitely adopted some of that fearlessness and just you can paint over it. Because before I would never from the first stroke to the last stroke, everything was where it was supposed to be. Now I'm a little looser, where it's like I get it at the end.
Yeah, I feel like it's like organized chaos. Like I like my kind of abstracted, sloppy parts, but then I like something that's really clean, popping. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But speaking about paintings that took a long time, right here we have my painting called Rainbow Beach, and I mean I got this canvas maybe 2-3 years ago. My mom was moving to a new spot, And she was like, I got this painting been in my car trunk for ages. And it was just like a line drawing somebody did on the canvas. She was like, you want to paint it? You can paint over it. And I was like, oh, yeah. So like that joint sat there. And like, I really had no idea what I was going to do with it. And then finally, like the idea came. But even as the idea came, like I did it, but then I still wasn't like, I'm ready, to finish it. And then it would just be like, every few months I might pick it up, hang it on the wall, take it back down, do a couple brush strokes, and then be like, I'm gonna work on this other stuff. Yeah. But during my residency at the Chicago Cultural Center, I thought I would finish it there. I thought for sure. I was like, okay, I'm here, da-da-da. And even there, it was like people just kept talking to me while I was working on that. And that was cool, to share, experiencing that, but I did not get it done. And then it took to this last summer where I finally had the time and space and the idea where I finally was able to finish the painting. But it's just crazy, like how long it could take to get to that finished part when so many of your other works are just like, it was 2 days. I just
like the whole process. And like a side note, like how you said, like, your mom had found it or something. It's some dude on TikTok. He'll go to the thrift store.
Oh yeah, and flip it.
Yeah, and then he'll add to it, take it away. That's and he even getting comments from people. You know what I'm saying? He'll take comments. Hey, add a flower in the in the garden.
I didn't see that part. That's why.
Yeah, or they'd be he had a whole one dude had a Scooby bus. He made a whole Scooby Doo scene and stuff on this joint, and people adding saying comments, and I'm gonna add that. But that was so I definitely had thought about that some years ago, but it was one of them things I just never did it.
Yeah, well, I don't know, with that kind of stuff, because I use Photoshop a lot because I do a lot of flyers, album covers, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I feel like I get that part there, but I feel like incorporating it into painting is touch and go sometimes.
Yeah.
But if it's a good idea, you got to do it.
Yeah. Nah, but my painting over here, I think it's called the Visionary. The Visionary. That's what we calling it, tentatively. But this one I started now, and I think this was maybe I had some kind of abstract picture on here, but I had this canvas this was during the pandemic. You know what I'm saying? So probably 2 to 3 years ago, and I went in South Shore. I was doing I had an art studio pop-up on 71st Street. So, and I was kind of live painting in there. So I was working on this painting. And then, pop-up ended. I didn't finish. And I've been saying I was going to, every year, I'm man, I'm going to finish that painting. And I had it up in the studio hey, we going to do it. And then it was some people I thought that was done already. You know what I'm saying? But I knew because when I looked at it, I'm nah, something ain't quite right.
You want to see your full style, what a finished Lamar looks like.
And I didn't. It was some things I wasn't happy with, and then it was just more to the to the story of it, of the painting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I had the guy with the the buildings behind him and stuff, and then. While I was working on it, the idea popped in my head to it's almost he's creating, the painting of him having a vision to make these buildings and, just recreate his neighborhood or something.
So the vision.
Yeah.
Now that you say that, I definitely see that.
Yeah. Wow. So it was definitely when that idea kind of that idea just pops. How you said you sitting in a lot of the painting is you just thinking about
it's idea. Nothing with me touching the brush. Yeah. It's just really just figuring out what is it gonna be about. Because even with this, it's about a t-shirt that I had when I was younger that I loved. It was a big wave going across the shirt, a rock.
I feel I remember them shirts.
Yeah, it was and then it was when I had the shirt, we were roommates in South Shore. Yeah. And I would go to Rainbow Beach a lot because Dinky and Ron, they live pretty close to there. So, you know, with a lot of my work, it's always kind of like touching on different Chicago things, you know, a lot of times South Side things of what I grew in. But it was like, you know, trying to piece those things together in a memory. But then also, you know, with a lot of my work, I try to give inspiration within it. So you got like one of the first Black women to be a pilot. And she's like flying across Rainbow Beach.
Oh, okay.
And he's got Sky's the Limit on there. Yeah. Queen Bess. Yeah.
You talking Bessie Coleman?
Yeah, Bessie Coleman.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I always hate that. Whenever I'm on camera, like memory just goes real quick. And then this is like from a vacation pic of my son running on the beach in St. Croix. And then doubling up on, you know, the kid energy. You got like a kid here playing with their G.I. Joe on a surfboard. And then for me as a kid, I used to dress my G.I. Joes up where I would draw out like basketball jerseys, like full fits, like whatever I was wearing in that time, I would make the whole thing and, you know, have them set up, you know, ready to go. So I was like, let me flip it. So it's like a Destro. He's got like a Prada water vest on. He's got like some Polo Ralph Lauren wind shorts, and he's got like the Nike scuba shoes from back in the day. And then, you know, you just see people moving on the beach and all that. I feel like I'm gonna probably still add some buildings back there to show like South Shore and that, but it could be done, it could not. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for me, it's really hard not to have it have like a full story. Like I really don't like my work unless it has a full story. Like to me, that's what I enjoy in other people's works, the narrative.
No, and artist tip now while we had it. No, but for real,
Message. No.
if you are an artist, I feel like in any way, you need to tell a story. You got to have a story to tell. Like I was listening to something the other day, and they were talking about some people. It's like they don't want to. You know, you can have some things that happen in life, and it's either like you feel like, oh, you know, I don't want people to know that, or this is, you know, I don't want people to talk about me crazy, or, you know, just certain things that people don't want to like be vulnerable.
When they want to pretend to be perfect.
Yeah. And being a good artist is like really about being vulnerable in the sense, like even like when I'm writing raps, you know, I had some raps and my wife was like, you said that? I'm like, I gotta let it out. You know what I'm saying? Let it out.
Well, it's like speaking your truth, and I feel it's like a release in that. But then also I feel like the imperfections is what makes the connections, you know, with people, because we all go through those things. We don't always often talk about those things, you know?
Yeah, no, but so telling that story, like I feel like as a, you know, even like just being a good business, they have like a good story, you know, and being an artist, I feel like what's good for us is each individual painting can be like its own story. But when you have that narrative and that story, that's definitely what like connects people. And
because I mean, I feel like most paintings in that sense of narrative could be movies or it could be books, just from the imagery, you know.
No, that's what where they say like a picture worth a thousand words. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta do all that right.
I'm very sure you use that in a rap somewhere, because I know I definitely.
I have. Yeah. No, I definitely have.
That's when you got your spitter hat on.
Picture's worth 1,000 words. My paint is worth 1,000 raps.
No, I definitely said in my word is worth 1,000 pictures or something like that too. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know, you got to flip it off.
You know, Damon got bars. Most people know I got bars, but Damon, he got bars too.
So I need a free like week or two to get back.
Go ahead, keep talking.
To get back in the stew. You know what I'm saying?
Just in case you didn't know.
Oh man.
The man was getting down, man. Look, he got the barcode, all that, man. $13.99 for a CD, man.
Yeah, this is a compact disc. This is, you know, this is what these are how we used to listen to music. Compact disc, but it was nothing like going to the store and like, you know, you go to the store and like flip through and and find the disc you want to buy. Like it wasn't nothing like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was serious. So you did the cover art too, yeah?
Yep, did the cover. They wouldn't let me put a painting on it. When you get the deals, man, it's just, hey.
Now, you know what's
Stuff
funny?
happens.
You couldn't put a painting on it. One of my deals I got in Germany for an album, they were like, I couldn't put my art on it, but they could have their
But they
studio
could put
artists
another
put their art. I was like, dude, it's perfect.
No, yeah, they definitely wanted me to look a little more R&B for this, you know.
Now you do got like, you might have some Jamaican
Yeah.
records on there, or you like, girl, you know it's true. I don't know.
Yeah.
But from that time to this
Man.
time, like, how do you feel your art has grown, your growth in this
Man.
time? 'Cause I mean, what year is this? This is like,
This like 04, you know what I'm saying?
that's a whole different time, man.
Man.
I don't even think I was thinking about painting at that time. I was just doing logos and album covers and clothing.
Yeah. Nah, one thing, like we was talking about like telling the story, but I feel like some people kind of like, they're like, hey, I want to do art, I want to be an artist, but for any career, but they don't really want to put like the work in for it, you know what I'm saying? And the work, like right now, I feel like I'm like fairly successful, you know. I'm not a millionaire yet, so I feel like, okay, I ain't like that yet. No, but I say, but every day I'm constantly trying to learn and trying to grow, you know, from different things. Like some people like, oh, okay, you got to go to college. I don't necessarily. Now it's some things like, hey, if you my doctor, I want you to have like went to college to like learn.
You don't want them to chance.
Yeah.
No assumptions, no guessing.
Yeah, I want you to know all the parts of the body. You know what I'm saying, but there's some stuff. Now, one big thing about just artist growth and development, and that was definitely big for me, was kind of like having that mentor and like being an assistant on projects when I started out. Just like, that's almost like learning the field work. You know what I'm saying?
Being an assistant, I think people really underweigh how much you get from doing it. Now, hear me out. You're not gonna like it all because you're not painting for you. You're painting for somebody else. You're following their directions. You're working within their style. You're working within how they like to communicate, how they like to create, and the hours that they prefer. But on the other side, you're getting school because you're doing something where the outcome isn't on you, it's on someone else. But you're being taught how to make it in their way and being able to take things you like of their process and add it to yours. But also it's like you're not facing any criticism. You're just creating.
Yeah, but you're expanding your skill set at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, man, I don't really use like this type of brush. Like I literally learned a whole new painting technique assisting because they were like, nah, you know, you gotta, you know, scumble this on. I'm like, dude, what's scumbling? You know what I'm saying? But when I scumbled, like I've been scumbling since.
Steady scumbling. No, I mean, I remember the first mosaic you asked me to help you with. I had never really done mosaics in that way. Like I've definitely done like as a kid where you had the little pieces of paper and you glue it to the sheet, but I'd never done mosaics. And like I went for it, you told me, you know, how to go about it and the protective gear and all that. And then like I nailed it first time out and you're like, oh bro, you should do all the mosaics. And like for me, I didn't even think I needed to do mosaics, so that was even valid, you know, in the sense of me creating public art. But then I found a whole new way to work with my color theory, you know, and then also again the consistent learning, because I feel, because you know, often people will say, man, how do you do all this stuff? And I'm like, man, I did it for all these other people, and then in turn, I'm left with this treasure chest of all these things, and now figuring out how to make it work for me. You know?
Nah, that's real. And sometimes now, like I be on YouTube all the time. Like I remember back in my day.
Why you got to
but back like, dude, in early 2000s, like when I was first doing art paintings, like it wasn't no YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So I do feel like, yes, school was maybe more important just because, hey, I wasn't able to just go anywhere. Now I can pop on YouTube and like learn from like a master in anything. You know what I'm saying? If I want to do a sculpture, now I'm going on YouTube like, okay.
Well, now it's like you just got to search out the prompts for the thing you want to do. The same way you would talk to Chat GPT. It's kind of like how you should talk to Google. And then for me, that's been like one of the things. Google definitely. I was forever like, I don't know how to do it, but I'm about to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know?
Nah, for materials, like make sure you got the right materials for your artwork, for your mural. Like if you
thinking about making it last, because that's something I think a lot of younger artists could get construed in the sense of like, you could do it, but are you doing it in a way where 10 years from now you won't have to go back and fix it, or you won't let down your client who's expecting this to last for a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah, and when I'm doing a painting, when I'm doing a mural, anything piece of art I'm doing, I'm thinking this is gonna be something that like when I'm gone, it's gonna like speak for me. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I'm super in tune to that. Even like as I started my career as an artist, I always looked at it as after I'm gone, these will be the things for my family to have and do what they decide to do with it, but also to tell the stories that I'm excited to tell and shine a light on the things I think are important for the next generations, you know?
Yeah. No, and also something else with just learning. It's like you can kind of like max out your capacity. You know what I'm saying? And I see it with artists all the time. They have a lot of paintings, but like not really like a lot of growth in the paintings. You know what I'm saying? Like every time I do a painting, every time I do a mural, I'm trying to think, okay, how can I take this up a notch? Level it up. And like,
I think that's why it's important competing with yourself. Because for me, that's all I'm really doing. I'm just like, all right, well, how could I do this even crazier? Or, let me see if I try this material, or what if I cut a piece out of this? What'll happen, you know? Because I mean, if you look at my studio, it's just a bunch of experiments, and then it's like the finished things are all together, like, what? Made the magic happen. But the experimentation is definitely key, and not being afraid to mess it up. You know, sometimes you might have to do it 3 times to get it right. But that idea after you master it is gold.
No, I'm gonna tell you the pet peeve. My biggest pet peeve is like when an artist have like a drawing that's clearly wrong, but they just went with it. You know what I'm saying? And it's sometimes you paint and like that's your style, or
well, if you're consistent with that, because I mean that's even something in your art. Because I do remember as you transferred into being more loose, and you were like, what did you say? You said, man, if all the lines are crooked, nobody will notice.
Like I'm never doing a straight line, because if you got one line that's not straight in the straight lines, it's like, hey, but
But I just got like a record holder for like my studio, and the projection of like the drawing of the finished product was off. And like it just burnt me to the point I almost wanted to like redraw it. Just so I could have the proper vision of the finished thing.
No, part of that is, and that's part of the learning, because I feel like one sign on being a good artist is being able to like recognize your mistakes. And we got abstract artists, we got
if that's how all
if you're doing it on purpose, and it should look like you're doing it on purpose. Like it's some people who it's not on purpose. It's just they can't draw that good. But then, hey, take the time. Like I've had times where I'm like working on a painting, and my daughter came in the studio and was like, I don't know, I think that nose is a little big. And I wonder, you know what I'm saying? But then I actually look at it, and to me, I'm like, okay, they're already becoming really good artists because they can recognize and like being able to fix a mistake in a painting.
They've seen so many of your paintings at this point, you know? I mean, that's something else. I think when people start comparing themselves, to other artists and not understanding how someone grew up. Because if you're surrounded by this thing and then later you decide to pursue the thing, you've got a whole wealth of knowledge you can't get at school. Because it's already been in you. I mean, it's kind of like kids with hip hop. they might not know Biggie or MF Doom in the sense of like knowing their life story, but they've been surrounded by that music where it's just part of their everyday. You know?
Yeah. No, sometimes you need to ask for a critique. You know what I'm saying? Like, and some people be kind of so wound up like they don't want to really hear nothing. You know what I'm saying? But I welcome critiques. Like, even in music, like I sing you a song, like, hey man, what you think about it? Cause it's one point, sometimes I'm like so in the dungeon just with myself and just doing it. Then it's like, okay, you need like sometimes to bounce the ideas off of somebody.
Yeah.
Or
no,
you
need
that helps.
some people. You need an audience where they could tell you, yeah, no, or just give you insight, or be like, you're doing this part really well. Maybe you should keep that part and build from there.
Yeah.
You know?
Or just giving you idea. Hey, have you thought about, doing this? Have you thought about doing that? And yeah, that's really helped me like expand, in that sense.
Nah, that's super important, and not being afraid of the critique and like really hearing people, because I mean you could obviously hear like what's valid and what's just their opinion, but you definitely need feedback. And I mean it's like, what are you doing it for? Are you just doing it for you, or are you trying to do it where the world can see?
Yeah.